So today we're going to talk about Algeria, who year to date has had a great year, and particularly they've had a great weekend politically. So what is Algeria? Algeria is the largest country on the continent of Africa and its fourth largest economy. And if you're not familiar, there has been a proxy war between Algeria and Morocco, their neighbors, since the 1970s. So there's a territory called the Western Sahara that the United States, it recognizes as a part of Morocco. But not all countries do, and Algeria has been funding a group called the Polisario, who is a separatist organization within the Western Sahara who want to create a brand new country called the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic. And as you can imagine, this doesn't really cause great relations between Algeria and Morocco, which I like to describe them both as siblings, as they're both culturally very similar. They're colonized by France. They share the same cuisine, but they both like to push heads and show their political might. But this weekend in neighboring Tunisia, which is a small African country on the northern coast of the continent, there was a conference called TICAD, the Tokyo International Conference on African Development, which is a meeting between Japan and all of the governments of Africa, which to discuss development initiatives, which is positive as it diversifies away from China and Russia, which essentially when they get involved, they saddle these countries with so much debt that they know they can't afford, and thereby go rape and pillage the countries for all their resources such as gold and diamonds and cobalt, what have you. But Tokyo, their goals aren't that. They just want to, if anything, diversify the investment opportunities away from these countries of dubious purposes and to generally help out Africa. So it's actually a good conference for the continent. But why was it a win for Algeria? Well, Algeria got Tunis to invite the Polisario as an official member under the guise of the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic, essentially causing the conference to co-sign the Polisario's legitimacy, which is huge for Algeria, and it's considered a slap in the face by Morocco. So Morocco, which is the continent's fifth largest economy, they did not attend the conference, and neither did Guinea-Bissau, a small West African country that left in solidarity from Morocco. So this was a win for Algeria in the long ongoing proxy war. Now, what else happened? If you haven't been following relations between France, the former colonizer of Algeria, and Algeria, have lately just been horrible. So last winter, Macron came out and said that Algeria really shouldn't exist as a country, and that French colonialism really wasn't bad at all, which, as you can imagine, enraged Algerians. So they kicked them out of their airspace. They weren't allowed to enter. They ended military cooperation, and they gave the French diplomat the boot. Now, ties have been restored, but there's still very tense terms, to the point that President Abdelmadjid Tebboune, last month, he announced that in the upcoming school year, they're going to switch from the second taught language from French to English. Now, to show you how big of a cultural shift that is, that would be like America saying we're so mad at our former colonizer England that we're just going to throw English out with the bathwater and take on a brand new language, which is French. It's a huge cultural shift, and of course that spooked Paris. So Macron set up this meeting this weekend, and in so Abdelmadjid Tebboune, he got a bunch of concessions. One, he got France to up the amount of Algerian students allowed to attend French universities up to 38,000 from 30,000. So that's nothing to sneeze at. And then also Macron announced that he's going to create a commission to study the effects of colonialism on the former colonies, so across the board, it's a win-win from Tebboune. It's a lose-lose for Macron, because in so he pissed off every single facet of French political life. From the far right, he said, how dare you disparage our French ancestors and their colonialist efforts, which they don't see as a bad thing. And then the far left, who said, for long you've been poo-pooing and flippant about colonialism and its effects, so all your current efforts, in words of Macron, are just quite frankly BS. So everyone in France is mad at Macron, and everyone in the political elite of Algeria is pretty happy with Tebboune. So it'll be interesting to see what other political wins Algeria can notch going into these last few months of 2022.